Hello and welcome to my presentation for Advanced Clinical Exercise Science, the Essc13005. This is a placement and project presentation. My name is Toby Busek. So an overview of what you're about to see is initially I'm going to discuss my placement at Freedom Physio and Pilates with my supervisor Anthony Wilson, who studied at Ballarat University. Did an undergrad in human movement and then a postgrad diploma in exercise rehabilitation, and just qualified at the beginning of this year as an AEP. And then I'll discuss my project, which is on clinical Pilates and lower back pain. So a little bit of a background on Freedom Physio and Pilates. It was established in 1986 in Leopold, which is a suburb of Outer Geelong with a population of 10,111. They focus on physiotherapy, remedial massage, clinical Pilates and exercise physiology. The practice has 3 physios, 3 massage therapists and 1 AEP. It's largely a local clientele based in the Leopold region, but it does extend all the way out to the coast, places like Queenscliff and Torquay, if you've heard of those before for the Queenslanders. Largely elderly populations. Leopold is a pretty elderly population, but not exclusively. So a more specific look at the populations. It did deal with some high school age students, largely in the 30 year to 92 was the oldest client I had, but mostly in the sort of 50 to 70 range. We looked at post-operative cares, ankle injuries, shoulder injuries and lots of lower back pain, and some general fitness and functionality for the elderly, and as I said previously, the biggest pathology presenting was lower back pain. At my placement, I was under the observing under the accredited exercise physiologist Anthony. So I got to observe the physiotherapist referred transfer of patients to the AEP. So typically a client would have an appointment with the physio. They would go through their injury and nature of their injury and then bring them out back to the gym, where the physio would sort of refer that then on to the AEP, recommend some exercises or a treatment program, and then the AEP would continue with that. The large majority of patients were given a clinical Pilates program. I also observed the exercise physiologist and client relationship ongoing. So I did my placement over 2 weeks, so broken up, not on every day, and so I got to see as sort of a few clients repetitively as they would come in 2 or 3 times a week over those 2 weeks, and see how Anthony interacted with those, and also I guess the opportunity to develop my own relationship with those things. The observation of the physio, AEP and manual therapist cross care. So there's a lot of transferring of patients or referring of patients between the 3 different aspects of treatment within the clinic, which was pretty cool to see, and how the different clinicians operate holistically. We got to observe the development of new exercise programs for new clients or ongoing clients, which I guess is more the progression of the therapeutic exercise programs, the addition of more exercises or the increasing of the difficulty of exercises, and being punctual, arriving prior to my sort of allotted time slots. Got to observe the preparation of the workspace, and I guess, you know, at the end the packing up of the workspace as well in terms of the gym. Pretty straightforward stuff, really, moving weights or apparatus into their homes. So my contribution within the workplace was the assistance with the development of the exercise program. So there was a software package that the clinic used, which was developed by the clinical Pilates equipment manufacturer, so that they could drop and drag different exercises into programs. So I got to be involved with the development of programs for people like that. And AEP supervised delivery of exercise, so I had the opportunity to demonstrate and teach some clients how to do certain exercises underneath Anthony. I guess the development of the client-clinician relationship, so one of the things Anthony wanted me to do was just chat to people and get a gauge of where they were at and what they were doing, and maybe distract them a little bit in terms of their headspace so they would continue exercising. So I guess having 10 years of working with people, that was pretty straightforward for me to be able to engage with people and engage with clients and develop a relationship, something that I'm pretty familiar with. I guess the setting's a little bit different to a rock face, but talking to people was the same thing, and giving them feedback on how they were doing and encouragement is pretty easy in a gym compared to getting to someone who's totally bricking it to abseil off a 50-metre cliff. So that was pretty straightforward. I guess I didn't really have much personal or professional development through that area. And I did some product and exercise physiology research. So the product research was from in terms of damaged equipment, and Anthony wanted some ideas and help in kind of developing the studio and what equipment they might need in terms of kettlebells or other weights exercises. So giving him some kind of feedback on that and doing some research as to manufacturers and pricing. And the exercise physiology research was, I guess he asked me to kind of do some background research into clinical Pilates and the history of clinical Pilates, which rolled on to work very well with my project, and also increasing his knowledge. I mean, there's some stuff in there that he learnt from what I discovered. So what was learnt? I guess the efficacy and popularity of clinical Pilates, which, I mean, it's an interesting one because everyone there obviously fully believes in clinical Pilates. If you didn't, you would stop the program and change. But those people who were there, and there was a pretty broad range of clientele, had really good success with the program. The popularity was pretty good, and I think the machines and the apparatus lend themselves very well to ease of use, and they're not kind of intimidating like some gym equipment can be for little old ladies and little old men. One thing I really learnt was that old people always say, if I knew then what I knew now, and that was in reference, I guess, to looking after their bodies, not partying as hard and doing certain things, which I guess is always the thing about hindsight, and I guess you can only gain that wisdom from being old and decrepit. The importance of being able to develop relationships with clients. So I guess I'm pretty significantly older than Anthony and have a lot more life experience, so very quickly was able to engage with a big range of the client base, which with him as a young man in his 20s perhaps had a bit more difficulty with, but he was very rapidly learning that, and particularly with the older clientele, I think they thought he was kind of cute. The healthcare team, I think, is a very effective model in terms of not just having one aspect of care, like going to see a physio and getting the physio, but also having the physio, the AEP and the manual therapist all working on the same client in conjunction. I also learnt that being a climbing guide is the best job in the world, and I don't particularly want to work in a clinical Pilates studio. Skill development, I guess the prescription of exercise as a therapy for lower back pain, delivery of exercise in the clinical setting. I've done, I guess, a lot of exercise delivery in a lot of different places in a very different kind of atmosphere or style of exercise delivery, so that was really cool, and I really learned a lot about the use of clinical Pilates apparatus. I really enjoy and get back a lot from working with people. I think experience means more than academic knowledge, And I love being a climbing guide and outdoor instructor, and I would do it for free, so it's a pretty good job to have. My project was on clinical Pilates as a therapeutic exercise intervention for lower back pain. So the purpose of the project was to gain clinical experience, understand Pilates for the treatment of lower back pain, review the literature in terms of efficacy of clinical Pilates in the treatment of lower back pain. Some background on lower back pain. It's a global issue with up to 70% of the population affected. In Australia, it is estimated that 80% is affected, with $1.02 billion. The direct costs of lower back pain and the indirect costs estimated at up to $8.15 billion. Several studies have shown the efficacy of exercise as a treatment intervention for lower back pain in terms of pain and function. So Joseph Pilates was the developer of the exercise routine in the 1900s. He was a German fella who was developed the program based off his kind of understanding and a real mind-body-spirit connection. Clinical Pilates is the modern development of traditional Pilates. Method: I undertook this project at Freedom Physio Pilates via observation underneath an Exercise Sports Science Australia accredited exercise physiologist Anthony Wilson. The clientele was physio-referred clinical Pilates. I undertook some anecdotal research and discussions with patients, and then a review of the literature under CQ University's Discover It search engine and Google Scholar electronic databases. The results, in terms of pre-exercise screening, Freedom Physio and Pilates issue a self-developed health questionnaire prior to being seen by the AEP. There's a physio consultation, then the referral to the AEP, under which there's an AEP instructed exercise program in the use of clinical Pilates equipment, and then a specific exercise program developed for the client based on their particular lower back pain. Clientele anecdotally spoke very highly of clinical Pilates. This, of course, could be that the people who didn't have any positive effects from clinical Pilates stopped the treatment, and only those with positive effects continued the treatment. Studies in New Zealand, Brazil, Australia, UK and USA have all found that an intervention of clinical Pilates can improve measures of pain and functionality compared to no exercise therapy. Clinical Pilates focuses on segmental core stability, neuromuscular facilitation of the engagement of those muscles to increase positive posture. There has been some poor quality studies in the past, so there's a need to increase the body of high quality research, and most of the research shows that clinical Pilates is not more effective than alternative exercise interventions. That is, exercise interventions that focus on segmental stability of the core all seem to be effective at lower back pain over no intervention. And the conclusion is the use of clinical Pilates as a therapeutic exercise intervention in the treatment of lower back pain may be effective for both pain and functionality, and further investigation will build the level of high quality knowledge in the area. Practical implications are that clinical Pilates can reduce pain and increase functionality for lower back pain. Clinical Pilates is not more effective than alternative exercise interventions for lower back pain. Further study with randomized controlled trials is warranted. This is the reference list, and I welcome any questions. Thank you.